Oi. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live in the Get Unstuck series with me, Sarah Archer, and my dog Phoebe, who's just started barking just as I'm going live. The postman might be about to arrive. Anyway, it's great to be here, and if you haven't met me before, I'm a career and leadership coach, and I work with professional women to achieve their career dreams, to get success on their terms and move into those kind of leadership roles where they know they can have impact but without the burnout. And I'm going live here on LinkedIn and also here in my Facebook group, the Love What You Do Lounge. And so if you are joining me today, it's always lovely to know that people are here with me. So please do give me a little wave or a hello in the comments. And if you've got questions for me, please do put them into the chat, or if you've got any comments. And similarly, if you are watching on replay, hello, you're very welcome. Please do tag me in the comments if you've got a question. I will come back and answer it later. So I designed the Get Unstuck series to just help you move forward in your career by providing tips, tools, techniques, inspiration, motivation to help you navigate some of those career challenges that you might face as you are progressing in your career. So they're always short and very practical, so 15 minutes, and usually with things that you can action or implement straight away. So let's dive into today's topic, which is all about, when you are ready for that next senior role. So whether that's moving into your first leadership role or your next leadership role, but you're just not taking action to kind of make that happen. So your job search is just not even on the horizon yet. So what we're going to talk about today is 3 steps you can take just to kickstart that job search and get things moving. Because if you know that actually 2024 is the year that you do want to be moving into that next role, then these 3 things that I'm going to suggest to you will help you make progress. Because, everyone is busy. We all have busy lives, busy jobs that, thinking about starting the whole job search process can feel quite daunting. It's probably the last thing you want to do when you get in the evening is to sit down and start job searching. But, if you do want to find that new role, then you do have to create some space to make it happen, because job searching, can be a full-time job in itself. It doesn't have to be, though. So doing some foundational work, which is what I'm going to talk you through today, can really help you further down the line in finding that kind of success that you are really wanting. So let's think about these 3 steps that I'm going to share with you. And I'm not going to mention the word CV to you at this stage. This is the foundational, preparational work that you need to do. So the first thing, and it might sound a bit obvious, but what I want you to think about is setting a date by which time you want to be in that new role. So whether that's September this year, December this year, or earlier, it might be May. It could even be earlier than that. But actually thinking to yourself, okay, when do I want to be in that new role? So not when I'm going to start my job search, but when do I want to actually be in that new role? Because giving yourself a date for it really kind of sets a marker of that's the goal I want to achieve. And it gives you something to work towards so that you're not drifting. And it also helps you to do some planning. So you can then work back from that date so that you can actually start to create some time and some space for your job searching. And then we want to be using that data as a motivator for your job search. So we want to create a pull factor, a pull motivator, rather than using a push motivator, which might be, I'm really feeling bored and unstretched in my job, or I really don't like my organisation anymore. They're all push factors, and they can be helpful, but they're not as motivating as having a pull motivator. So to create that pull motivator, you can start to think about what will being in that new, more senior role give me? What will it do for me? What will it do for my life and the people in my life? Okay, so you can think about what difference it would make to your life, to your finances, to your family, So, for example, if you know that next more senior role is going to be more fulfilling, because maybe it's going to give you more stretch, which means you're going to be happier in your job, which means you're probably going to be happier at home as well, which is going to have an impact on the people around you. Or maybe if you know you're going to go for, say, a 10K pay rise, thinking about what will that financially do for me and for my family, for my circumstances? What's it going to allow me to do? Because that can be quite motivating too. Or maybe if it's about achievement, thinking, okay, I'm going to get my first director level role, that will really boost my confidence, which means I can do more engaging work, which again is going to make me feel great. It's going to have a knock-on effect on my well-being. Or it might be in that next role, I'll have more control over my working hours and how I structure my time in my day. And that's going to mean I'm going to feel less stressed. So just really kind of tapping into what that next new role is going to do for you, because that can be really motivating if you can picture yourself in that role and the impact of having that new role on your life. Okay, so that's your first step, setting a date by which time you want to be in the role and really identifying how that role is going to make a difference to your life and what the motivation can do for you. Okay, so secondly, we're going to move on to the next step, which is a really important step and often one people don't do or don't do in enough depth, but it is really key. And that is creating your ideal role. And by that, I mean thinking about what are the elements for your next more senior role that it's got to have. So what do you want from that role? And we're thinking ideal, okay, because you can then narrow it down into kind of the non-negotiables, but it's thinking about what do you want that next role to have, what are the success factors for you. So not comparing yourself to other people, but really thinking about what is your definition of success. And with my clients, I do a lot of work with them about really understanding their success criteria, because getting really clear about what that next role needs to look like, what the elements are within it, will help you not waste time in your job search by applying to things that aren't going to give you that. So it will help you use your time more effectively. And also, when you're at offer stage, because you will get to offer stage, it will help you with your decision making. So with your decision making, there's going to be an emotional response, which is going to be helpful. How do you feel about getting that offer? But also you can use it as a kind of more objective, logical decision making criteria as well, because both of those elements are important. Because if it doesn't excite you and make you feel, oh my God, they've offered me the role, then that's giving you information. But also you need to check out, is it going to actually meet my criteria when I've actually been offered the job? Because you don't want to say yes to it and then find actually the thing that's really essential to you enjoying the job isn't part of that new role. So what do I mean about your criteria? That's things that you define as your motivators that mean you feel engaged in that job, you feel successful. And you also need to think about what are the essentials for the culture of the organization. So, because if you're going into a leadership role, you want to know that your leadership style is going to be aligned with the organization, that you're not going to be bumping up against a very different leadership culture, that you feel it will support your style and engage your style of leadership, that you feel it's going to be a good fit for you culturally. And then the other element you could think about is the stretch in that role. So because you're going to be going in as a leader and probably as a specialist too, so you're going to have a marketing specialist, an HR, finance, sales, tech, whatever your specialism is going to be, you're going to have to think about how is it going to give you the stretch in both those areas. So as a leader, what do you want in terms of to be stimulated? Is it about the size of team? Is it about the sort of strategic work you're going to do? Is it about how you can help shape or steer the organization? And as a specialist, what's it going to allow you to do in terms of impact? So what are the things it's going to let you, experiment with or grow or try out new things within your specialism? And then also the other factor you need to think about is the pay and conditions. because it's important to do the research now around the kind of financial implications of a move, because you need to know where you are within the market right now in terms of your salary, and what you want to have in terms of a pay increase. And obviously, if you're under market rate at the moment, you need to be still thinking about where you want to be, because just because your current company isn't paying you the market rate doesn't mean you're not worth the market rate. So you need to really understand your value and what you want to be achieving, because as female leaders, we often don't negotiate our worth. So going in knowing what your worth is really important to build your confidence in the job search process, but also when you get to offer stage and you can negotiate that new salary. So that's step 2, is really doing that foundational work about what's really important to me, what has my next role got to have for it to be an easy yes for me to take it. And then the third thing we need to think about is managing our mindset wobbles, because often when I work with clients around moving to that next role, there's a lot of that inner dialogue going on in terms of, can I do it? Have I got enough experience in my current role? Do I need to do a training course? Actually, I'm not sure I'm confident enough to do this role. I'm not strategic enough. I don't have enough influence. All of those things start to pop into our heads when we start to think about going for that next role, because obviously we're going to be getting out of our comfort zone by going into a new role in a new organisation, or even promotion in our existing role. So we do need to think about how we can engage our inner coach rather than our inner critic, because our inner critic, its primary purpose is to try and keep us safe, because the brain likes us to be safe. And obviously, if you're going for a new role, there's going to be some uncertainty. There's going to be the potential for rejection or some kind of vulnerability. And so our brain wants to keep us safe. And that's why it will throw anything at us using the inner critic to avoid us taking the kind of action that's going to put us into an interview situation or some sort of situation where we might be exposed. So it will start to kind of kick in with all of those things that it knows you feel a little bit insecure about, whether they're true or not. And so being able to kind of manage your mindset wobbles now will help you throughout the job search process and further down the line. And so that's about engaging your inner coach to remind yourself of your strengths, your achievements, what you're bringing to the role, etc., etc. Let's just do a little recap of the 3 steps. So we're going to be thinking about setting a date by which we want to achieve that new role, and reminding ourselves of what that new role is going to give us to increase our motivation for taking action. We're going to be really thinking about our ideal role criteria and really creating a list, if you like, of all the things we want that next role to have, and understanding what our non-negotiables are. And we want to be managing our mindset wobbles and engaging our inner coach through the process. So I hope you're feeling more motivated now to kickstart your job search process for your next senior role. Obviously, this is an area that I work a lot with clients on, getting you feeling confident in terms of your personal leadership brand and how you promote yourself for that next role, how you get clear on your ideal criteria and your job search strategy to achieve that new role. So if you feel, actually, I'm tired of doing it on my own, I'd really like some help to make this process much more pleasant, easier, and more successful, then obviously do get in touch with me. Book in for a free, no obligation chat about how we could work together. And I will be back next Wednesday at 12:15 for the next session, where I'm going to be talking about executive presence and how you create more executive presence in your role. So if that's something that's going to be interesting to you, please do join me next Wednesday at 12:15, and I will see you then. Have a great week.